Hey y'all, it's Renee from 9V Florida Panhandle, and it seems like fall has finally arrived here. So when you're looking over here behind my shoulder, you can see my Okami cherry tree. It's just an ornamental cherry tree, but it gives such beautiful flowers in the spring. And you can see that its leaves are a beautiful shade of yellow, and they're starting to be dropping them now. What's really interesting with this particular tree for me is that I had it for years, and it does produce blossoms, but the foliage has been sad to say the least. It seems like every Memorial Day that happens, it just drops all of its leaves, and it is bare for like the next 6 months at least. But this year I gave it a good pruning, and when I did that, it just flushed out in a whole bunch of new branches and leaves. And I did that in the middle of summer, actually, when it was starting to wane, depending upon how you pronounce that. And after that, it just really flushed out, and it's kept its leaves until January. I can't believe it. So that if you have one of these types of ornamental cherry trees, highly recommend a midsummer prune back. Help keep it shape and keep it looking full. Hoping for really good blossoms this year. Maybe they usually occur around my birthday in March, so we're gonna keep our fingers crossed that that'll be my great birthday gift this year. Over the summer, I propagated some shooting stars, big leaf hydrangeas, and it just turns out I was giving an in-service at my school, because if you didn't know this, I'm by day a teacher. By evening and weekend, I'm a YouTuber. But I was giving an in-service to a group of teachers, and one of them mentioned about how the deep polar freeze that we had, very late freeze in late February for us, killed off a lot of our hydrangea blossoms. But I mentioned that my shooting stars, which I've only seen at my local Lowe's like one time in the middle of winter. Obviously they were hothouse grown or greenhouse grown, because they were in blossom at that time, which, by the way, is not so unusual here in Florida. But the nursery lady really encouraged me not to get them. I said, I'm getting these. I've not seen them before, and they are amazing. And but I did. I planted them, and they almost bloom year-round for me. And they made it through the winter and the summer, and everything was fine. And a lot of the flowers that didn't bloom, that one always blooms. I know I had some also late season bloomers with some other hydrangeas that did blossom for me, but a lot of the more predictable ones didn't do as well. But that's okay, because I'm hopeful for next year. Or maybe it's now this year, because it's 2024, but how about next spring season? So I was at my in-service, and I was talking to some teachers, and one lady says, oh, I can't wait to be planting. What kind of hydrangea is that? And it looked like she was getting ready to write it down. I said, hold up, stop the presses. I had some propagations at home, so I went ahead and I'm gonna break them up, because I've got too many in one pot. And I don't really have a lot of these, and I like to sub in if something doesn't do well with some of my propagation. It's mainly for me, but I had really nice one, so I went ahead and I'm going to divide it up for her and give her the best out of the ones that I got out of that pot and give it to her as a gift. So let's go ahead and do that division. So here's the hydrangea, and here's a detail of what one of the flowers looks like when it's in its prime. And this blooms almost all winter for me. I know that their blooms are finally turning, but it is really pretty. But these blossoms just stay on forever. And it's a very vigorous grower. So here I'm just trying to loosen it up from the pot. It's really, you're gonna see how it's grown in all the way to the edges, which is great. What wonderful root systems. But it was a little bit of a challenge. But doing this gently and then giving gentle tugs, it will eventually release. So here I am just trying to get these 3 propagations to have as much equal roots as possible, but sometimes that's near impossible, as many of you know. When I'm putting a plant into a pot, especially one that I've divided, I try not to, when I fill it up with the new soil around it, I try not to press super hard. And then a lot of the times too, I'll give a gentle tap on the bottom of the pot to just make sure all the soil is kind of filled in voids. I know when I water it in, that's also going to move some of the soil to fill up the void, but I don't really want to have that soil super compact. I want to give it a little bit of room for the roots to grow in. If you think you might have planted it too deep, now is the time to kind of lift it and get that soil underneath it so it's at a proper location in the pot. So this is the one that I'm going to give her, and I hope that she enjoys this one as much as I do. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video, everyone, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.